Hi, it's Jamal Thomas. Welcome to the Progressive Soapbox. So let's talk about Russia, or better yet, the lack of evidence associated with Russia. So Glenn Greenwald, the man is a lion. I love him to death. He comes out with a report in The Intercept, making this point that Democratic leaders, the people who were standing in front of the crowd screaming at the top of their lungs about Russia and Trump, Russia and Trump, Trump and Russia, are now backing away from that narrative. Because those people realize, hey, there's no evidence here. There's no silver bullet. There's no there. And how is our base going to respond when they realize that there is no there? We've been running this witch hunt that has no basis in reality. Now, he's saying base, but understand, he's not talking about progressives. Progressives are not part of the Democratic Party. He's talking about Democrats, run-of-the-mill liberals, the guys who support the party, the partisans, the people who would take a position because the party takes a position, and then takes the opposite position when it's the other party, even though they're talking about the exact same thing. I'm talking about the hacks. Not the people who based on principle and values, but people who essentially follow the party line. The run-of-the-mill Democrat. This is The Intercept. Key Democratic officials are clearly worried about the expectations that have been purposefully stoked and are now trying to tamp them down. Many of them have tried to signal that the beliefs the base has been led to adopt has no basis in reason or evidence. The latest official to throw cold water on the MSNBC-led circus is President Obama's former acting CIA chief, Michael Morrell. What makes him particularly notable, in this context, is that Morrell was one of Clinton's most vocal CIA surrogates. In August, he not only endorsed Clinton in the pages of the New York Times, but also became the first high official to explicitly accuse Trump of disloyalty, claiming, in the intelligence business, we would say that Mr. Putin had recruited Mr. Trump as an unwitting agent of the Russian Federation. But on Wednesday night, Morrell appeared at an intelligence community forum to cast doubt on the allegations that members of the Trump campaign colluded with Russia. On the question of the Trump campaign conspiring with the Russians here, there is smoke, but there is no fire at all, he said, adding, there is no little campfire, there is no little candle, there is no spark, and there is a lot of people looking for it. Obama's former CIA chief also cast serious doubts on the credibility of the infamous explosive dossier, originally published by BuzzFeed, saying that its author, Christopher Steele, paid intermediaries to talk to the sources for it. The dossier, he said, doesn't take you anywhere, I don't think. Morrell's comments echoes the categorical remarks made by Obama's top national security chief, or official, James Clapper, who told Meet the Press last week that during the time he was Obama's DNI, he saw no evidence to support claims of a Trump-Russian conspiracy. We had no evidence of such collusion, Clapper said unequivocally. Unlike Morrow, who left the official CIA position in 2013 but remains very integrated into the intelligence community, Clapper was Obama's DNI until just 7 weeks ago, leaving on January 20th. Perhaps most revealing are all the Democrats in the Senate Intelligence Committee, charged with investigating these matters, who recently told BuzzFeed how petrified they are of what Democratic base will do if they do not find evidence of collusion, as they now suspect will likely be the case. There is a tangible frustration over what one official called wildly inflated expectations surrounding the panel's fledgling investigation, BuzzFeed's Ali Wolkin wrote. Moreover, several committee sources grudgingly say, it feels as though the investigation will be seen as a sham if the Senate does not find a silver bullet connecting Trump and Russian intelligence operatives. One member told Watkins, I don't think the conclusions are going to meet people's expectations. You don't think so, huh? Clapper in particular has proven he will lie in advance to advance his interests. Yet even with all the incentive to do so, they are refusing to claim that there is evidence of such collusion. In fact, they are expressly urging people to stop thinking it exists. As even the law recognizes, statements that otherwise lack credibility become more believable when they are ones made against interests. So understand what they're saying. They're making this point that says, when Hillary Clinton lost this election, the last thing they wanted to do is have a conversation about why their candidate lost. The first thing they jumped on was, hey, Donald Trump seems to be conciliatory with Russia. He's saying nice things about Putin. He wants to be buddies with Putin. Why does he want to be buddies with Putin? Let's jump on that. And that's exactly what they did. And even though Democrats were associated with Russia just as much, if not more, than Donald Trump, even though the Democratic Party, like the Podesta and all these people, were making deals with Russia in the same way, had met with Russian operatives in the same way, they still tried to use the Russian narrative as reason and justification to explain the loss of Hillary Clinton. Now, understand why this works. It didn't work because there was evidence. There was none. The CIA and FBI came out and just essentially said, trust us. We know what we're talking about. The problem is, they didn't show you anything. They didn't show you any information. They didn't show you any evidence. They literally gave you their word to say, hey, trust us. We're the CIA. Trust us. We're the NSA. Trust us. Mind you, same guys who had hacking tools that were breaking into places all across the world, who, based upon their own hacking tools, revealed, for the most part, that any state agency could mimic another state agency. Meaning that the one piece of evidence that they thought they had ended up being not evidence at all. They had no evidence. They made that association. The reason why the story worked wasn't because it wasn't because it was evidence. It wasn't because Republicans believed it. It wasn't because independents believed it. The only people who, for the most part, bought into this was other Democrats, run-of-the-mill Democrats. They believed it because they had a vested interest in believing it, not because it was evidence to believe it. Those are two very different things, you must understand. It is easy to get somebody to believe something if the thing that you want them to believe suits their self-interest. In this case, the self-interest was not having a come-to-Jesus moment about why their candidate, this woman who was supposed to be so experienced, this woman who was under criminal FBI indictment for like a year, this woman who for the most part ran a corrupt organization under the Clinton Fund, who all these speeches, all this stuff came out about the things that she was hiding, the position she was lying about. That woman, they didn't understand why she lost. The person, the group who cheated Sanders, they didn't understand why she lost. And because they didn't understand why she lost, because all up to that point, Huffington Post had her supposed to be winning by 98% on the day she lost that election, they didn't understand what give. How is our reality so wrong? I know, our reality wasn't wrong. It wasn't that the data and everything else that we were telling ourselves was wrong. There was a foreign body, there was a foreign agent, somebody, something external to the election itself reached into our country and put Trump in that office. Well, that had to be it. It had to be it. I mean, otherwise we were living in a fantasy, and there's no way we were living in a fantasy. Their illusions were secure by having shills like Rachel Maddow on MSNBC, by having these Democrats running around hollering about Russia at the top of their lungs. Wrong. Completely wrong. No evidence whatsoever to support it, and yet that did not stop them one iota for red baiting, for positioning this country in a way that's in direct contest with another nuclear power. Not because Russia did anything tangibly to the election, not because Russia did anything to us per se, but purely for political expedience. These guys were out there making the point of wondering, hey, does a cyber attack that didn't exist from the Russian government constitute an act of war? These are the things that they were talking about. These are the things that they were red baiting. These are the things that were coming up in their dialogue, in their discourse. They were talking to each other. They were only talking to themselves. Everybody else was outside that bubble looking at them like they lost their goddamn mind, because for the most part they had lost their goddamn minds. At the very least, right now, there is some come to Jesus moment of, whoa, we need to back this up. Those guys have taken our narrative, the thing that we put out there to kind of conceal the horribleness of our party. They took it and ran with it. And now we realize that we don't have any evidence. We have nothing to show for it. The investigations, the people who are in the know, the people who were in the know and knew that there was nothing to know, Now those people are trying to come clean. And the thing they're coming clean about is, hey, let's back up off the Russian narrative. Let's pull back on that a little bit. I know we said Russia did it. I know we said there was evidence for this, but yeah, there's no evidence for it. Look, I've been pretty consistent on this. I've made the point from the beginning. Whether Russia has something to do with it or not, I didn't think so. But by the same token, I didn't care whether they did it or not. We intrude in other people's elections all the time. We don't have ground to stand on. And beyond intruding in other people's elections, we have so many tangible issues that we ourselves as a country need to deal with in order to secure our elections. Russia is not on that list. It's not on the list. So, Glenn, again, good job. Good job. I like the fact that they're bringing this to attention. Because understand, this is dangerous. This is not... they're using this for political expedience. But you're talking about fomenting resentment against another country, against another nuclear-powered nation. If Hillary Clinton had taken that seat and taken that office, the things that she would have did in that office could have very well started a war. Do you understand how crummy and crappy it is that Donald Trump may have been the safest bet, as gross and as horrible as the things he's going to do in that office, may have been a safer bet, because between the two, he was the one who was taking a conciliatory tone with Russia. That's terrifying. That's terrifying. It's not just terrifying, it's a goddamn shame that it's true. It's a damn shame that it's true. Glenn, good job. Democrats, tighten up. Have a come to Jesus moment. Accept the fact that she lost on her own merits. Accept the fact that she deserved to lose. She should have lost. And I understand that you guys don't want to have that conversation about what's wrong with your party. Why is your party such losers? Why have they lost like 1,000 seats? Why have they lost consecutively? You guys have lost, 66 out of 99 state legislatures, 12 governorships, the House, the Senate, and the presidency. And you're so weak you couldn't even get your pick in, your rightfully pick in, to the Supreme Court. You need to honestly engage that. You need to honestly have that conversation. Not Russia, not Comey, not WikiLeaks, not Jill Stein, not Gary Johnson, not progressives who's making the point that you guys are busted. It's none of that. It's none of that. It's your party. Deal with your own issues. Stop trying to blame other people for the problems that you yourself have. Because, look, nobody believes this. You guys are rated like 30% or 35% at this point. Donald Trump is whipping you in the polls. He's whipping you in the polls for a reason. You guys are talking to yourselves. Nobody else is privy to this conversation. And nobody else believes the things that you guys are saying. And they shouldn't believe the things that you guys are saying, because it's completely conspiracy theory stuff. So, Intercept, keep up the good work. Democrats, you guys need to tighten up. Thanks, guys. Oh, by the way, if you guys like the content, feel free to subscribe, feel free to like the videos, and definitely feel free to comment. I'm trying to get more so in the habit of saying this, because I tend to be bad at it. I tend to get involved in a particular story, and sometimes I let how I feel guide the story, or guide my take on the story. It's almost like channeling to some degree. And so sometimes I lose the thread in regards to remembering to say it. So I'm trying to make it more of a habit. But feel free to subscribe. Feel free to share the videos. Thanks, guys.